My name is Franco Bonacina. I'm the spokesman of the Director General of the European Space Agency. I confess I'm not an expert on Chinese space flights. I have my hard time following the activities of the European Space Agency already. So I've been asked by my friends from the IAF to moderate this event because I think I consider myself good enough in moderating, at least in press conferences. First thing I would ask you is to mute your telephones if you haven't done that this morning. And second thing, I introduce you. We're not talking about me here. We're talking about the, it's an overview of China's space station program and more, depending on questions that you will have. And our guest of honor is Dr. Zhou Yanping. He is today the chief designer of the China Manned Space Program. And he was born with space already signed in his destiny. He was born in '57, and in '57 we had the first sign of space activities in the world. So that was already a good sign. He became a bachelor in mechanics. He went through all the process of getting a master, then became PhD, also in mechanics. He he became an associate professor, and he studied at the University of Southern California. He finished his studies in 1999. He was assigned to be the director of the system division of the China Manned Space Agency, and he was nominated later on in 2002 the chief designer for China, the Zhongqiang Satellite Launch Center. And then he was promoted in 2004 to today's position, chief designer of China Manned Space Program. And I leave the floor to him to give us an overview of China Space Station project in particular. And I understand he has a presentation over there, and then we will come back for questions and answers with you. And let's see if the interpreter works very well. I invite you to go to the presentation spot there. Thank you.
Mr. Bonacina, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to have this chance to give you a brief introduction of China Space Station. My speech will cover following 5 parts. First, I give a brief review of China Manned Space Program in past years. This program can be dated to Project 863 that began in 1986. In 1992, Chinese government decided to implement manned space program. This program chose to begin with developing Shenzhou spaceship and aim to build space station finally. The first step is called Manned Space Program M2, most basic manned space flight technologies. The second step is called SpaceLab Program, aim to develop small-scale space stations that can be visited by astronauts shortly. Space labs are mainly used for verifying key techniques in building large-scale space stations. The third step is called Space Station Program, which is now in progress. And I'll give more information later. As the second part, let's see what have China done in the past 20 years in manned space flight. From November 1992 to March 2002, 4 unmanned spaceships, Shenzhou 1 to Shenzhou 4, had been launched successfully for verifying manned spaceflight technology. After these 4 successful unmanned space flights, the first manned spaceship, Shenzhou 5, was launched, and Yang Liwei became the first Chinese astronaut entered into space by a spaceship made by China. Then, taking two astronauts, Shenzhou 6 was launched and flying for 5 days in space. This is also indicating the accomplishment of the first step of China's manned space program. The second step began with Shenzhou 7, the first spacewalk of China, of our program. 3 astronauts took part in this mission, and Zai Zigang executed EVA in Feitian X-vehicle suit made by China. Then we launched Tiangong 1, the first spacenet which is developed based on our spaceship technology and necessary new technology for spacenet. There are 3 main gains for developing this spacenet. The first one is to verify Hangzhou docking technology, and has been achieved by Shenzhou 8, Shenzhou 9, and Shenzhou 10 mission. The second one is to verify new technology for space station. The third one is to do scientific research, such as Earth observation, biology, etc. The last 2 aims are also executed in Tiangong 1, and will continue in forthcoming Tiangong 2 missions in the next year. In Tiangong 2 mission, we'll first launch Tiangong 2 spacenet, then 1 manned spaceship, Shenzhou 11, and 1 cargo spaceship, Tianzhou 1, to visit Tiangong 2 spacenet, respectively. The most important goal of mission is to testify the cargo transportation system for forthcoming space station, including on-orbit propellant resupply. Here, I'm glad to point Tiangong 1 mission is very successful. Tiangong 1 has been flying in space for 4 years and is still in good conditions. As for the progress and plan, it has been reported in 2014, the newly built Hainan launch site witnessed a successful ground drill for Long March 7, a new rocket, and Tianzhou cargo spaceship in 2016. The first flight test of Long March 7 will be performed. Afterwards, subsequent flight missions that I just mentioned will follow. The fulfillment of these missions will mark the end of the second step of China's manned space program. So far, China has carried out 11 space flight missions in total, in which 10 is our spaceship and 1 is Tiangong spacenet, in which 5 missions are manned missions. 10 Chinese astronauts have been sent into space, among them 2 astronauts entered into space twice. In part 3, I focus on China's space station project. This project was approved by the Chinese government in September 2010. The object of the project is to build China space station around 2020 to master long-term human space flight technology independently, to acquire the ability of long-term maintain space science and technology test, and to exploit the space resources comprehensively. The basic ideas for that we are following in building China space station are listed as follows. First, it should be totally Chinese conditions, moderate scale, with future development ability. Second, we must persuade technology progress by making use of modern advanced technology. Of course, we also need to master for abilities of building large-scale space facilities and on-orbit operations. Third, we should focus on application benefits to achieve greater innovation progress in space science and applications. Fourth, China space station should be operated economically and has the ability for sustainable development, which we believe is also very important for manned space program. As for the purpose of China space station, it can be concluded as following three main points. The first one is to build and operate the space station and to master space station technology, including large-scale manned platform on orbit, assembling long-term human space flight, operation and maintenance, etc. The second one is to build a national space laboratory to carry on multiple field space scientific experiments, space technology tests, and science promotion activities. And the third one is to carry on international regional cooperation and to make contribution to peaceful exploration and the use of space resources for mankind. The basic configuration will have three modules for China space station. One is core module that is in charge of controlling and managing the complex, providing accommodation and working place for astronauts. Experimental Module 1 and Module 2 will mainly be used for space scientific experiments, space applications, and space technology demonstration. The space station can be expanded to 6 modules if needed. This will depend on future requirements for utilization or international cooperation. Furthermore, aboard panels can be exchanged or upgraded. The operation orbit parameter of China space station are inclination will be between 42 degrees to 43 degrees. Altitude will be between 340 to 450 kilometers. The lifetime of space station will be greater than 10 years. Normally, the space station will have 3 crew members. Maximum crew members can reach to 6. All space station modules will be launched by Changzheng 5B at not much 5B at Hainan Space launch site. The cargo transportation system that I just mentioned and are named as Tianzhou will be used to support operation of China space station. It is developed based on the technology of Shenzhou Spaceship and the Tiangong Space Lab. It will have 3 different configurations. 3 different cargo cabin configurations. that are pressurized, semi-pressurized, and unpressurized, respectively. Depends on target. To satisfy different cargo transportation requirements, such as airtight cargo, not extravehicular payloads, and experimental platforms. Tianzhou cargo spaceship. Tianzhou cargo spaceship will be launched by March 7 at Hainan Space Launch Site. Shenzhou spaceship will still be used for crew transportation and will be launched by non-March AF launch vehicle. Crew members is 3 and the crew rotation can be up to 6 months. As for the test module, as for the China Space Station constructions, we plan to launch the test module, core module, first around 2018. Then several manned spaceships and cargo spaceships will be launched to visit the testing core module, conducting key technical tests and such as on-orbit assembly, EVA, long-term manned flight, etc. When finished key technical verification, experimental module 1 and module 2 will be launched and docked to core module. Afterwards, the space station with 3 modules will be put into operation around 2022. Currently, this China Space Station project is well underway. And all modules of CSS, China Space Station, and the new types of launch vehicles, as well as payloads, and other related facilities are under development. This is a simple cartoon to show this assembly schedule of China Space Station. First, the core module is launched into orbit. After finishing key technical tests and convincing the module is in good condition, the experimental module 1 will be launched and docked to the front or docking part of the node module that is a part of core module. Then the experimental module is removed to lateral docking port by the transfer mechanism or a robotic arm. Finally, the experimental module 2 will be launched and assembled to the docking port opposite to experimental module 1 in the same way. As following, I'll give a little more detailed introduction about the scientific research facilities that many international scientists and colleagues may be interested. All 3 modules of China Space Station are designed to support advanced and multi-purpose research facilities for space medicine, space life science and biology, microgravity, fluid physics, combustion science, fundamental physics, space astronomy and astrophysics, space earth science and technology, space new technology, space-based information technology, space application, new technology, space environment and physics, and space components and parts. Scientific research equipment of China Space Station are classified into 5 kinds and 13 racks. For space life science and biotechnology research, we have 3 racks. For microgravity fluid physics and combustion science, also 3 racks. For material science in space, 2 racks. For fundamental physics research in microgravity, 2 racks. Besides, we have 3 multi-purpose facilities. Ecology science experiment rack can provide strong technical support and good conditions for space life science experiments, including individual organism and organization research, and so on. Biotechnology experimental rack is used for space life science, and biotechnology science glove box and refrigerator rack is a multi-purpose service facility to support space science and aerospace medical experiments. Fluid mechanics experiment rack is a fluid physics research facility and will be used for conducting experiments in basic laws of microgravity physics to study motion of fluids in space on both macro and micro scale, microgravity, fluid dynamics, etc. Two-phase system experiment rack is designed to accommodate the key scientific issues and engineering technology research of two-phase system in microgravity. Combustion experiment rack is designed to support scientific research in combustion application. This research will focus on mechanics and related parameters in microgravity combustion process, combustion characters of fuel in low gravity conditions, basic parameters, and the combustion mechanism, things like this. Material furnace or experiment rack is equipped with sample management module, real-time operation module, and a furnace which can achieve 1600 degrees Celsius of temperature. Containerless material experiment rack employs electrostatic levitation technology to realize containerless processing and the research works. We will focus on space material growth, kinetics, and mechanics. Varying gravity experiment rack provide artificial gravity of different levels. It is designed for separating microgravity from other space environment effects to meet the needs of multidiscipline of scientific experiments. In situ maintenance and operation rack is a general purpose rack for payload or component, IV maintenance, samples arrangement of fine manipulation before experimental implement, diagnostic and test devices are plugged. M2 new discoveries of astronomy and space telescope is scheduled in China Space Station. This is Chinese first maintainable and repairable non-aperture space telescope for astronomy. It is used for sky survey to study formation and evolution of faraway celestial bodies such as stars, planets, galaxies, black holes, quasars, etc. It is also used for dark energy and dark mass research, such as non-distortion of galaxies caused by gravity lensing by dark mass. Cosmology research, such as restriction of perturbation to density. Generally, this space telescope will operate independent to CS China Space Station. If needed, it can dock to China Space Station for maintenance propellant resupply, and scientific instrument upgrade. Next, I'd like to talk about international cooperation of China Space Station. Our purpose of building China Space Station is for peaceful use of our space. As I have stressed, the usage of China Space Station will focus on scientific exploration. We are open to the world in cooperation based on the principles of equality, mutual benefits, and joint development. Following is some area. Some possible cooperation area. First one is collaborative development of devices, components, subsystems, modules. Second one is space science experiments on board this station. And the third one is astronaut selection, training, and flight. The fourth one is the application of human space technology. Other cooperation suggestions, of course, are welcome. So far, Chinese government and the China Manned Space Agency have agreements with different countries and organizations, such as Los Comos, ISA, DLR, etc. We have also discussed with Office for Outer Space of United Nations about promoting developing countries to join manned space flight. As for how to cooperate, following 5 typical cases may be interested and discussed. Case 1, accommodate the international NAV modules or jointly developed NAV modules to China Space Station. Case 2, international spaceship visit China Space Station. Case 3, joint flight of astronauts. Case 4, respond to international rescue needs. And case 5, carry out worldwide space science cooperation, including jointly designing and developing payloads and share research results. Finally, I'd like to end my speech in following conclusion. First, China Space Station will provide a reliable and expandable microgravity platform for space science and technology research and applications. Second, China Manned Space Agency is considering further and long-term development in human space exploration after the forthcoming accomplishment of the present 3-step strategy. The third, it is certain that China will never halt its footsteps in human space exploration and will contribute to explore the vast space deeper and further. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you, Dr. Jianping. I invite you to sit down here so I think it's more comfortable while we take question and answers. I'd like to raise your hands one at a time. 1, 2, 3 over there. Introduce yourself, and when I say introduce yourself, if you're a member of the press, state your name and affiliation. If you are participants, say in 2 words who you are and what you do. We start with Peter. You first raise your hand here. I give you a mic.
Hi, Peter DeSalding with Space News. You'd mentioned that CMSA has agreements in place with ESA and with Roscosmos. What are you doing with them? Or what are they doing with you?
We are discuss to do something in China Space Station for science research.
Mic number 2, please.
And not interesting topics are discussed.
Can't hear it, sorry.
Can you say it again? The mic is not on yet. Now it is. Okay, you can keep yours. Okay, whatever. Thank you.
We have discussed with ISA and some scientists in European for how
Can you speak closer to the mic?
To do scientific research on the forthcoming China space station. And many topics are under discussed right now. I'm sure we can do something.
Okay, Frank, then I come back to you.
I'm Frank Mooring with Aviation Week and Space Technology. Thank you for your presentation. It raised three questions for me right off the top. One, are you working with the other international partners on this international docking standard that may allow other spacecraft to dock with your station? Second, do you happen to know the aperture of your space telescope in centimeters? And also, I understand there was a meeting here yesterday of various space agencies to discuss future post-ISS plans. Were you a participant in that meeting?
About the ISS, we have not we haven't joined this project, so we haven't to cooperation with countries participating in this in ISS, and. It's this question is for joining the International Space Station. This topic is not on our side because China is not the participant of the International Space Station.
I'm asking about your space station and the international docking standard, not the International Space Station.
Yeah. I know. Some countries are discussed about the standard of docking mechanics, but it's possible. But it also depends on what the technique stands you are select. Some details should be discussed, I think, because we need high reliability. So we can reach this goal, but I think we should do more.
Okay, was a question right here.
Hello, my name is Avi Blizovsky. I'm a journalist. I have my own site on the only Israeli dedicated science and space news site. What I wanted to ask, you talk about cooperation with countries. What about the private people? There is a new emerging Space 2.0. You know what I mean, yeah? New kind of small companies that have new applications, maybe with nanosatellite, with others. If they want, for example, to test something on your space station, do you have a mechanic for that? And how much will that cost a test, and how much will cost a seat?
Of course, we can do some things for this new these countries or and country companies if they can satisfy our stands for safety, reliability, and they will come. About the cooperation forms can be discussed. It's not a problem, I think. But as the most strict requirement is for safety. Yeah. But we can do something together to solve these problems. Depends on the case, I think.
Take another question here, and then I come back to you.
I'm Serge Plata from the European Space Policy Institute in Vienna. I have just one technical question. You haven't answered to already this question. You mentioned that there will be a possibility to have a telescope who can be orbiting close to the station and be repaired or refurbished through the station. What are the characteristics of this telescope, in particular aperture and kind of wavelengths that it would be used? Aperture in centimeters or maybe in meters, I don't know.
The telescope, the space telescope, will aim at to obtain very fine imaginaries for astronomy, and our scientist is doing some is in hard work stage to decide the schedule for this telescope right now, and I think they will make it to the public in the recent.
So knowing the capabilities of launching capabilities, what would be the mass of the telescope?
The telescope will be launched by our Long March 7 launch vehicle. So it's the mass of the telescope and the satellite together will be below 135,000 kilograms.
Okay, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Anatol.
Ni hao ma. I am Jim Volp. I work for a company that is supporting the German Space Agency, DLR. 3 of your RECs sound extremely familiar. They are very similar to RECs that we can find in the European Columbus module, as I'm sure you're aware. So, as a person from the ground, working the details of all kinds of technical challenges, I'm sure that my institute director would welcome anybody from you guys to come so that we can discuss some of the lessons learned in the operations of these RECs that you might benefit from.
Sorry, can you give the microphone back to where it belongs? I am moderating, and you were not supposed to have the mic, but anyway, don't worry. We have 5 minutes to conclude.
Yes, you're welcome to discuss things like this. Yeah, I hope we will have. I hope. I'm sure we will have chance to do things like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We continue with the questions which were in line. Thank you.
My name is Anatoly Izak. I publish a website called RussianSpaceWeb.com and work for a number of magazines in the US. And I wanted to ask if space station is a focus of the program, are there any plans, if not to develop, but maybe to work on future lunar exploration program or any deep space missions in human space flight field? Thank you.
The Chinese government has only agreed 3-step strategy of China manned space program. I talked right now. 3-step strategy is spaceship, space lab and the space station. This is the our project approved by Chinese government. But I think that the mankind will switch more things to do for human flight. The moon is should be, of course, is a new target, and also some other stars, things like this. But right now we don't have a project.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Amalia Finzi from Politecnico di Milano, Italy. My question is quite simple. How many women are working on this program, at least with respect to the men that are working?
China astronauts only fly in space for not a very long time, or 10 days, and we have 2 female astronauts enter into space. The space in our spaceship is very narrow. Shows they have some difficulties to. They have to do some difficulties to. 怎么说？跟他说，this space is narrow, of course. Yeah, they will have some difficulties to arrange their lives, but there's no problem. Be careful with things like this. I think is enough. We have two pressurized cabins, so the life can be separated.
Okay, I take the last question because we're out of time.
Hello, sir. My name is Asaf Raz. I am a lawyer and a spaceflight enthusiast from Israel. I have a simple question. What is the biggest challenge you have encountered in the program? Because that was not mentioned in the presentation. And also a small technical question. Why did you choose the inclination of 42 or 43 degrees and not some higher inclination, like, say, that of the International Space Station or some other inclination? Thank you.
We have many challenges for building China's space station. First, the reliability and the safety is always an important question for human flight. We must be careful. And this space station will have 3 modules and the maximum module can reach to 6. It's a very large, huge space facilities. So we have to do. We need more works and experiments to verification our technologies, and including human flight experience, EVA, and maintenance operations, many new works for us. About inclination angle, we choose 42 to 43 because our launch site is, and this is suitable for us. It will become simple for the recovery of astronauts. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Dr. Yunkin. We really have learned a lot tonight, and I wish to thank you on behalf of everyone. There's still lots of questions that I cannot take. We're expecting another audience to come in. There's a gentleman from South Korea who might ask a question on a person-to-person basis. I thank you to all the audience, and I ask you to give him a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much.